Hey racers, hold on to your hats. It is Sherpa Dave with the race Recon for Zwift Racing League Series 3 Race 5, which is a points race all the way over in Richmond, Virginia. Virginia likes the motto, Virginia is for lovers. Well, if you're going to love it this time, you are going to have to love punchy climbs and fast descents with precious little recovery between them. We are racing on the same hills where a certain Mr. Sagan took a chance on a very long solo breakaway. Are you going to do the same thing as you come over the 23rd Street KOM on the last lap? This is the first race in Season 3 where the A's and B's have a different length ride to the Season D's. If you are A or B, you get to do 5 laps of this race, which is 46 kilometers. If you are a C or a D, you only have to do 3 laps, which is just a touch over 30 kilometers. The season started us off with some pretty easy rides, but this one is anything but. I've had the misfortune to race on this circuit a few times, and I can tell you right now, there is something about the way those hills flow into each other that make this one of the most competitive circuits that I have been on. Let's take a look at the course itself. You can split this 9-kilometer lap into 2 sections really. The first half is pretty much flat with a nice steep downhill. The second half has 3 punchy climbs. This is definitely a course for the puncheurs among you. There are 2 time segments, both of them are KOMs, and there's a third bonus climb that takes you up Governor Street to the start-finish straight. Even the start-finish straight isn't simple. It's a false flat uphill 1 to 1.5% for half a kilometer before you hit that gate. I did do a lap, which is where all the footage for today comes from, but I was lucky enough to do a 3-lap race back last summer, and I pulled all of our measurements from there. Let's start with just the facts. The DS tear-off sheet. I did 2 of them, one for the A's and B's and one for the C's and D's. Take a look at each of them and print off either one depending on which category you are in. Let me know what works in the comments. I don't know whether doing 2 of these for this kind of race makes sense to you guys. You let me know. When planning your attack and your strategy for this race, there are, as always, a few things that you're going to want to know. You want to know what is the approach to those KOMs, and you want to know what are the power-ups that you might have available to you. The good news this week is that you will have 3 power-ups on each lap, and it's not like when we did New York and you just didn't have a power-up that first time through the time segment. Here we start in the pens, go through the start-finish gate, and therefore pick up a power-up well before you hit that KOM. The 3 power-ups today are the aero helmet, they are the truck or lorry, and lastly the feather. You know these 3 pretty well. I'm not going to give you a detailed breakdown and strategy guide on how to use any of these. You're probably all a damn sight better than I am at picking where and when to use them to best advantage. A quick update on that subscriber drive that we have. 2 weeks ago, I had less than 250 subscribers. Now we are up around 500, and it's just amazing to watch. First thing I do when I wake up each morning, because I'm a sad muppet, is take a look at the subscriber count and see where we've got to. talking of grateful, here's a list of the coffee club members as it stands right now. Again, you guys have blown me away with the level of interaction. It's amazing. Thank you so much. And if you've no idea what I'm talking about, just have a look down, open up the description, and it'll tell you all about it there. While you're there, you can always click on that subscribe button, but only if you find the content today interesting and you want to see more of it. Special shout out today to the Drafting Dinos, a 10-team squad WTRL house group operating in C's and D's. You guys are doing awesome. I hope you have your climbing legs on for next week. Dinos UK D1 topped their division and got 20 points last week. Let's see if you can do it again this week. Godspeed, ladies. All right, let's have a look at the ride today. So in my prep for the Recon today, I gave a ring to my old mate Mark Cavendish. Kev agrees with me that the way this race is going to pan out is lap in, lap out over those time segments and the third climb up Governor. There will be a general whittling down of the lead group.
Every lap, without a doubt, round this last part of the circuit with the Cobbled Climbs and then the climb up Governor Street to the finish, there's going to be guys going out every lap, bam, bam, bam. It's just going to whittle down to a small group, you know, and it's going to be select riders of kind of all abilities, whether like hardened sprinters, you know, like classics type riders, or your kind of Ardennes classic riders, your Philippe Gilberts and that. There's going to be a few guys there at the end with different abilities, all coming into this final, and then we see what happens from there. That's my prediction. I may be completely wrong, but
thank you, Cav. Right, let's get going and take a look at what we're dealing with today. Straight out of the pens, it is a right turn, and you will see the start-finish gate ahead of you. It's pretty flat all the way to the first descent. Right after the start-finish gate, you hang a left turn. Now you are on North 2nd Street. Quick left, and you are on Main Street, and it is time for our first descent. Now, I know that all the street names are completely irrelevant to you. It's kind of cool that these are real streets in a real town, but they don't really help you since Zwift does all the navigation for you. Prurient interest, shall we say. So let me give you a landmark. You see that traffic light ahead of you? The first descent starts immediately after that traffic light. The East Main descent is 1.2 kilometers down. It has some sections over 5%, but I don't think you're going to be able to super tug. Mind you, prove me wrong and let me know in the comments down below afterwards. What you have to be aware of though is halfway down that 1.2 kilometers, there is a very short upward bump and you will shed speed. My advice to you is keep an eye out for that and power through that bump so you keep up speed and momentum. Then carry on with the descent, and at the bottom it flattens out. After the descent, it flattens out for around 3 kilometers. There is a bump right in the middle. It's a 5-meter bump up, and it does get 5%, so it'll slow you down. Keep an eye out for it. You can see it coming, and make sure you power through it. Nobody in any of the groups, leave alone the front group, is going to let that bump slow them down. So be ready and get on the power. By now you should be starting to think about how you're going to approach Libby Hill. In the approach, the first obvious landmark is the tight U-turn. That's 500 meters from the start of the KOM. The next landmark is that building over to your left. That building is the same one that you went underneath about 400 meters ago. Now you're going past it. You are now 200 meters from the start and should absolutely be thinking about whether you want to be at the front, the back, or the middle of whatever group you are in. The KOM marker itself is hiding behind that little bend in the road ahead of you. It comes right after that bend. What you need to be aware of here is you're on a false flat. This is not flat, this is not downhill. You are actually moving very slightly uphill, 1 to 2%. The KOM start itself is at 5.5 kilometers on the first lap. But it's much more important that you see these landmarks and react to them than look at actual distances. I can't help you with this hill. You're going to have to get up it all by yourself. All I can do is give you some observations that I've seen from watching races go up here. Take a look at the 3D view from VeloViewer. You can see that it snakes up the hill. It is not a climb that you can really see all that far ahead of you, so you won't know how far ahead riders have got or whether you're catching them up. The second thing is I have never seen a race where a large pack goes up here and stays together. It splits up into a conga line of riders, whatever race I'm in. I'm usually at the back of that conga line, by the way. Third, the last 50 meters flatten out. Again, look at the 3D view and you can see it's got a tinge of green there in the last little piece. That is the time to use your aero if you've got it. Maybe you can catch some precious advantage in those last few meters. The last point is the top of Libby Hill is a 500 meter flat. I don't care how loud your legs are screaming at you. This is the time that riders at the front of the group are going to try and press their advantage. Now is the time to watch for brakes and really push the power. Whatever you do, gather as much speed and momentum as you can going down Libby so that you can use it for the climb up 23rd Street. If you need a landmark, it's that tight corner that's just ahead of us. You will see it as we get there. But you don't really need a landmark because at the end of the day, the descent of Libby flows straight into the ascent of 23rd Street KOM. This is a short, but it's a tough climb, 260 meters at 10%. The more momentum you have going into it from the descent of Libby, the better you will be, simple as. Once that momentum peters out, then it's all about muscle to get you to the top. Just like the top of Libby, when you get there, when you crest this hill, you have to power down. This is another of the opportunities that riders will take to create a split. I'm not saying Peter got the idea from me, but just take a look.
But here he is, he's made the move over the top of this climb. Van Avermaet was digging deep there, rocking his shoulders.
There is an opportunity to super tuck here, but it's a short opportunity and there's one spot you can do it, and it's exactly where Peter did it in the World Championships. There is no flat here. It's a bowl that gently flattens and then through the other side immediately goes into the climb that is Governor Street. There's no KOM marker that you can see here because there's no KOM, but you will quickly notice it goes from 1% to 5%, and then as you make the turn onto Governor Street itself, it'll kick up to 8%. If this first stretch looks familiar to you, it should. About 10 minutes ago, 15 minutes ago, you came down it. It's actually that first descent that you made in the race. Top of this hill, we do a sharp turn left onto Broad Street, and you can see the start-finish gate ahead of you. If Cav is right, and who am I to argue with Cav, then each lap you go around here, the climbs will whittle down the group. On the last lap, there'll just be a few of you left. Now is the question of when you punch the power for that sprint. Race after race, you see climbers go early for this sprint and blow up. The question is, does your brain know your legs as well as they need to pick the right time to punch it? One of the fastest riders I personally know is Rowan King coach Ryan Bevis, and luckily he had a race on this circuit not that long ago. I used that plus a little extrapolation to work out what a 5-lap time would look like for the A's. So with that preamble, I think top flight A riders are going to make it around 5 laps in 65 minutes flat. B's, I'm going to give you a target time of 75 minutes for 5 laps. C's, which is where I am, only have to do 3 laps of this course. I'm going to say an average time of 17 minutes a lap or 51 minutes for the whole thing. D's are doing 3 laps as well. I'm reckoning 20 to 21 minutes per lap for D riders, 63 minutes in total. Ladies, I'm really sorry. I didn't have the information available and or the bravery to put together target times for ladies only teams. For those of you that watch my Thursday Recons, you will notice I really screwed up on the Vienna class target times last week, so I've got some serious thinking to do. I will endeavour to do that thinking and come up with some decent targets for you all for next week. Let's take a look at bike choices, which is actually pretty simple this week. It's not a flat course and it's bumpy enough that you want to have a mixed ability bike. I'm going to be riding my Tron bike because that gives me enough capability on those flats and descents, but is a little bit lighter for the hills. So that's my choice. What you should be looking at is, given the Zwift level that you're at, what is the right mixed ability bike that is going to help you up those hills without hindering you on the descents and flats that are there. Now, as always, I will leave you with a 1-page summary and the DS sheets as the band plays me out. Have a great ride on Tuesday. This is going to be a tough one, but it will be a really fun ride. I just want to give thanks right now to the Drafting Dinos, all 10 teams of you. I also want to give thanks to my contributing editors, Cav and Peter Sagan. I'll see you guys next week. Have a great ride, and in fact, ride on.